Now, we spoke about adding fraction plus fraction with like denominator. Now we're going to talk about adding two fractions together, but with different denominators. Remember, we said whenever you have fractions, whether you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, or whatever you're doing with your fraction, the first thing you need to do is pay attention to your denominators because sometimes they are the same and sometimes they're going to be different. In this case, we're going to look at fractions where our denominators are a bit different. All right. So we're still adding. We're going to add two fractions where their denominators are different or they have unlike denominators. That's what we call it when our denominators are different. We call them unlike denominators. So you have 2/3 plus 3/4. How are we going to add this? What are we going to do? Now, remember we said you need to pay attention to your denominators. Your denominators are different. So we need to make sure that we find our whole. And to do that, we need to find equivalent fractions. So here's what we are going to do. We are going to take our 2/3. We're going to take also our 3/4, and we're going to find the least common multiple for our denominators. Here you have 3. Let's find the multiples of 3. You have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on and so forth. You can go as high as you want to go. Now we're going to take 4. Remember, you're taking your denominators, you're finding multiples of them. We have 4, 8, 12, 16, and we can stop there because now we can see that 3 and 4, they both share the number 12. So we're going to circle that. This tells us that 12 is our least common denominator, and we're going to set both of our fractions equal to 12 as our denominator. And now we're going to ask ourselves, how do we go from 3 to 12? First, what you need to do is find out what can you multiply the 3 by to get to 12. We did all this beautiful work down here with our multiples. Now we need to find out how many times did we add 3 to get to 12? We know that we added it 4 times. We're going to multiply. 3 times 4 is going to equal to 12. And there is a rule that we need to remember. The rule is whatever you do to your denominator, you have to do it to your numerator. And whatever you do to your numerator, you have to do it to your denominator. Because we multiply 3 times 4 in our denominator, we are going to have to multiply 4 in our numerator. And 2 times 4, as we can see, it is equal to 8. Our new fraction now is 8/12. We're going to do the same thing for our 3/4. We're going to look at our multiples and then ask ourselves, how many times did we add 4? We added 4 3 times. We're going to multiply 4 times 3. And remember the rule, whatever you do to your denominator, you have to do it to your numerator. Because we multiply by 3 in our denominator, we have to multiply by 3 in our numerator. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. And our new fraction is now 9/12. 2/3 is the same thing as 8/12. And 3/4 is the same thing as 9/12. Once we find our equivalent fractions, there are a couple of things that we need to do. You see how your denominator, it is 12 in both of them. Remember we said once your denominator is the same, we no longer need to focus on our denominator. Now we need to focus on our numerator. and our numerators are 9 and 8. We're going to add those.